Hey guys, so today I'm just gonna go over how to rubberize the top of your shoe with Stealth Paint Kit. Right? So I climb in the high ankles, so I personally find that the top of the shoe doesn't have enough rubber sometimes, and sometimes when I drag my toes it tears through the top of my second knuckle. So I usually do this with my shoe. So this is my high ankle. I'm going to show you how we get this with the effect. So what I do is I just cover wherever I need with the Stealth paint, right? And usually you want to do it when the shoe is still new, so that it actually grips onto the clean rubber or the clean leather, so that it doesn't come back off or doesn't tear off too much in later on when there is chalk on it, right? So what I've done, because it's pretty cold today, what I've actually done is, so let me quickly scroll through down, and I've just put my shoes in front of a little bit of a space heater in a little box. So I just bake them a little bit so that it heats up. So just like so. And so what we're gonna do is essentially, as we take a look at the two sides here, what we'll do is I'm just gonna cover all of this dark blue stuff, right? The dark blue leather with Stealth paint, and just cover it with rubber, and I'll just leave all the gray. Okay, so you essentially end up with something like this, except all the light blue stuff now will be the light gray stuff. Right. Okay, so first of all, let's get started, shall we? Things we'll need. We'll need the Stealth shoe paint kit. We'll need some masking tape or any type of tape really, right? And your little tray. Here we go. What we have here is brand new shoes. Alright, I'm just gonna keep it in there while I struggle to get them on a little bit. So first of all, you have to get the shoe on before you paint it. Right? Otherwise, the rubber will be too tight and it'll make the shoe harder to break in. Okay, so first though, you're gonna make sure you can get both shoes on first, alright? And right now, because we can do this 1 foot at a time, you don't have to get both shoes on. What I'm gonna do actually right now is actually take one off right now, because my left foot is actually a little wider than my right, so it's actually a little bit less comfortable. But I have it on right now, so I don't really want to get it off, so I'll just take my right one off and put it back in my little box. Keep it nice and toasty warm, so that I can get it on later. Right, so I'm just gonna put it back in there, put the heat in there, and cover it back up. Okay, so let's start with this shoe. So what we're gonna do now is, right now I'm just gonna bring this up just a little closer, better angle at it. From so, right, take the masking tape, just mask off wherever you want the rubber to stop. So for me, I think I'm just gonna mask off. So since I'm not gonna cover any of this stuff anyway, so I'm just gonna cover right here. So right there, right along the seam, right there, and I'll just cover that up. So put some masking tape over there. Make sure it goes right into all the cracks, otherwise you'll have rubber spilling into the bottom and it'll look ugly. If you don't really care about that, then by all means you don't even need the masking tape and just kind of glob it on. Okay, so once you have it all covered up like so, so you see this is the parts I'm going to rubberize. Right. What I'm going to do is you just take some of the Stealth paint, first of all. Right. Take the barge. And because what you want to do is just apply it over top. So here. And don't put a super thick layer on. You're just going to gently coat it. Right. It's okay because you got tape there, right? So we can go over the edges just a little bit. But you make sure you have to get it everywhere where you want the glue, where you want the paint, and just it provides a good base for the rubber to actually stick on. So after you've done that, you wait a little bit. Wait for it to be like that. See how it's a little tacky, and I pull it off, it kind of forms strands. So you kind of want it to be like that. And then once you wait, and then we're just gonna mix the stealth rubber. And how I'm gonna do is let's get the shoe out of the way, and we shall mix the stealth rubber. So I think I'm gonna mix it in here because it just holds it in place. So I don't think it really matters which order you do, but I think they tell you approximately a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's what I'm gonna do. Approximately 1-to-1 ratio. So I'm just gonna fill half of it, cover it, and I'm just gonna take this stuff, and I'm just gonna fill the other half. And that's about right. Here's a big glob of stuff there. Okay, so that's about right. Just take your mixing stick and then just kind of slowly start mixing it. Right. And by the way, this mixture you can tune yourself, right? If you want it to be a little bit easier to apply and a little bit more, well, paint-like, then you put a little bit more glue in. But then you have a bit more glue and a little bit less sticky rubber. So, and then if you want just to have a little bit more sticky rubber on there, then do it the other way around, right? But essentially what it does is it kind of just melts it, right? So the shoe glue just kind of melts it into this glob, and then you pretty much just keep mixing it. Don't waste any of that. You just kind of just mix it into a paste. Right. Now, while I'm doing this, okay, so once you've got it all mixed up, so it kind of looks like that once it's done. It's kind of pasty, kind of not pasty at the same time, but it should be workable, right? And then after that, let's bring our trusty shoe and the foot back into the picture, right? And we just take that and you just kind of mash it in there. You just kind of mash it in, and it should stick quite well. Once you have it in there, you kind of just spread it around wherever you want it to go, and don't worry about it if it's not too even. Again, we can take care of that later, but you want to make sure it goes, you want to cover it pretty completely, right? And again, the texture that you want on top comes down to what you like, right? I know some people who like to roll it out and make it really smooth, and then I personally don't like it that way. I personally like to make it so that the rubber actually is a little bit rough on top, because I just find that it grips a little bit better. And I know it looks really messy at first, but when it dries, it'll be just fine. So don't forget everywhere. Okay, good. So once you're done with all of that, don't don't worry if it's not absolutely even. You won't actually notice it once it's dried, and once chalk gets on it and used, it will kind of all balance out. So right now, after you've done that, then what you're gonna do is just pop the shoe off, right? And then it should retain most of that, right? Because your shoe was stretched before, the rubber is actually going to be pretty thin, but now that it's unstretched, it will be a lot thicker. So once the shoe's done, it will look more like that. So as you can let's take a closer look at it. So right there, right? Don't worry about anything that's imperfections off the edges right now. You can always wait for it to cure and sand it off, and don't peel the tape off yet, because right now all of it is stuck. Right, so if you peel that off, you could probably peel a whole bunch of other stuff off, and it won't leave a nice clean line. So just leave that on for now, right? And then pop that back in the oven, and well, homemade oven, and then take the other one out, and pretty much do exactly the same thing. Okay, cool. So I think I got the other side done. I have some leftover rubber, and I think I did a lot better job on my right foot than my left foot. So I'm gonna get my left foot back on there, and I think I'll finish off the rest of the rubber on there and make it more even. So afterwards, all you want to do is just essentially leave them in a nice hot place to cure, nice hot dry place to cure. I will actually just leave them very close to my baseboard heaters, but right now I'm just gonna leave them here for now because it seems to be doing a really good job in here. So I'm just gonna leave them in there, and I have the heat on just a little bit. Let's turn that heat down, keep it a nice warm dry, and just cover it up. That's pretty much how you glue the top of your shoes. You add a bit of rubber using Stealth paint, and just a few quick notes of things that happen afterwards, right? So as you can see with these guys, what I find is because you're adding more rubber to the shoe, you're actually changing the shoe a tiny little bit, so it won't feel the same, right? If you've had the high angles before and you like exactly the way they are, then adding the rubber will actually change it a tiny bit. It'll make the shoe a little bit stiffer, because now that you have more rubber on top here, it won't flex quite as well when you soften it. When it gets soft, this flex won't quite be as good because you'll have rubber here that stops it. And at the same time, you're gonna have to build your feet just a wee bit stronger because there's more rubber here, there's less stretch in the shoe, so you'll have to push a little bit harder downwards with your toe sometimes to really get those footholds in there. So it does change your shoe slightly, but what I find is that I like it, and it also holds the integrity of the shoe this way, so it doesn't bag out quite as much on top. So that's my take on how to use the Stealth paint on top here, and hopefully you guys like it. Try it out. If you don't like it, then don't use it. Hopefully this was a useful video.